Tutankhamun was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who ruled Egypt from 1323 BC until 1332 BC. He was one of the last members of the 18th dynasty in ancient Egypt. He is the son of King Akhenaten. Tutankhamun ascended to the throne when he was about 9 years old after the short reign of his predecessors Smenkhkare and Neferneferuaten. He married his half-sister Ankhesenapaten, and during his reign, he restored the traditional form of ancient Egyptian religion, undoing the religious conversion known as Atenism, his endowments and restoration for the sects. This information is recorded in the restoration plaque. The worship of the god Amun at Thebes was restored to prominence, and the royal couple changed their names to Tutankhamun and Ankhesenamun, removing the suffix Aten. In addition, he moved the royal court away from Akhenaten's capital, Amarna, and back to Memphis. He restored diplomatic relations with the Mitanni and undertook military campaigns in Nubia and the Near East. Tutankhamun was one of the few kings who was worshipped as a god during his lifetime. The young king likely began construction of a royal tomb in the Valley of the Kings and an accompanying mortuary temple, but both were not completed at the time of his death. Tutankhamun died unexpectedly at the age of 18. His health and cause of death were the subject of much controversy. In 2012, he reportedly died of a combination of malaria and a broken leg. Since his royal tomb was incomplete, he was buried in a small non-royal tomb that had been adapted for his use. He was succeeded by his first minister, probably an old man when he became king. His reign was short, and he was succeeded by Horemheb, Tutankhamun's commander-in-chief. During the reign of Horemheb, the restoration of traditional ancient Egyptian religion was completed. The facilities of Ai and Tutankhamun were usurped, and the rulers of the previous Amarna period were eliminated. In the modern era, Tutankhamun became famous for the discovery of his tomb in 1922 by a team led by the British Egyptologist Howard Carter and sponsored by the British aristocrat George Herbert. Although it was stolen in the past, it preserved much of its original contents, including the king's intact mummy. This discovery received international press coverage. With more than 5,000 artifacts, it has led to renewed public interest in ancient Egypt, where Tutankhamun's mask, now kept in the Egyptian Museum, remains a popular symbol. Some of his treasures have traveled around the world with unprecedented response. The Egyptian government permitted tours beginning in 1961. The deaths of some individuals who participated in the excavation have been popularly attributed to the curse of the pharaohs due to the similarity of their circumstances. Since the discovery of his tomb, he has become colloquially referred to as King Tut. On hand, his tomb contained extensive military armament, such as bows, Koppish swords, daggers, wrist guards, maces, shields, and a club, suggesting he had extensive weaponry training. Some imagery does depict Tutankhamun as directly participatory in warfare, such as the graphic battle depictions on the painted treasure chest in his tomb. Other artifacts, such as the 9 bows footstool, walking sticks and sandals depicting enemies, and a gold leaf picture of him during chariot archery against enemies, also suggest that he was actively engaged in Egypt's international conflict. On the other hand, given Tutankhamun's youth and hypothesized physical disabilities, like a speculated cane handicap, some historians are skeptical that he participated in these battles. 65. Yet some experts, such as Sophia Aziz, Campbell Price, and Rakshadave, have taken the position that the speculations of Tutankhamun's physical frailty are overestimated, arguing that mummy damage has led to misdiagnosis. Instead, they argue that the more rigorous, scientific view is that he was physically active and perhaps militarily participatory. Egyptologist Charlotte Booth states that Tutankhamun participated in at least 2 battles, one Nubian battle, and one Asiatic battle. Tutankhamun enriched and granted priestly ranks to 2 important sects, began the process of restoring ancient monuments that had been damaged during the Amarna period, and reburied his father's remains in the Valley of the Kings. Due to his age, the king had advisors including I, who succeeded Tutankhamun after his death, and General Horemheb, I's potential son-in-law and successor. Horemheb records that the king appointed him the lord of the land as hereditary prince to uphold the law. He also noted his ability to calm the young king when his temper flared. In his 3rd regnal year, Tutankhamun reversed several changes made during his father's reign. He ended the worship of the god Aten and restored the god Amun to supremacy. The ban on the cult of Amun was lifted and traditional privileges were restored to its priesthood. The capital was moved back to Thebes and the city of Akhetaten was abandoned. As part of the restoration of the traditional cults, the king initiated building projects, in particular at Karnak in Thebes, where he laid out the Sphinx Avenue leading to the Temple of Mut. The sphinxes were originally made for Akhenaten and Nefertiti. They were given new ram heads and small statues of the king. At Luxor Temple, he completed the decoration of the entrance colonnade of Amenhotep III. Tutankhamun made several endowments that enriched and added to the priestly numbers of the cults of Amun and Tut. He commissioned new statues of the deities from the best metals and stone and had new processional barks made of the finest cedar from Lebanon and had them embellished with gold and silver. A building called the Temple of Nebkepper, beloved of Amun, who puts Thebes in order, which may be identical to a building called Temple of Nebkepper in Thebes. A possible mortuary temple used recycled talatat from Akhenaten's East Karnak temples, indicating that the dismantling of these temples was already underway. Many of Tutankhamun's construction projects were uncompleted at the time of his death and were completed by or usurped by his successors, especially Horemheb. The Sphinx Avenue was completed by his successor I, and the whole was usurped by Horemheb. The restoration stele was usurped by Horemheb. Pieces of the Temple of Nebkepper in Thebes were recycled into Horemheb's own building projects. Kings were venerated after their deaths through mortuary cults and associated temples. Tutankhamun was one of the few kings worshipped in this manner during his lifetime. A stela discovered at Karnak and dedicated to Amun-Ra and Tutankhamun indicates that the king could be appealed to in his deified state for forgiveness and to free the petitioner from an ailment caused by sin. Temples of his cult were built as far away as Ankawa and Faras in Nubia. The title of the sister of the viceroy of Kush included a reference to the deified king, indicative of the universality of his cult.